People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time, as you lot always do. It's always appreciative, especially in this heat in the UK, man. Like, it's real stuffy in here. But let's speak about what I was going to speak about. I'd like to just offer my opinions as a football fan on both Aaron Ramsey and Thiago. I know I'm wearing an Arsenal shirt. I know, obviously, when you mention Aaron Ramsey, you think of Arsenal, Cardiff and Wales, in my opinion. Obviously, you now attach him to Juventus. After 11 or so years at Arsenal, arrived as a young teenager, as a boy, left as a man, left as a hero, left with how many FA Cups, playing a starring role in, in a couple of them for Arsenal. And at 29, he's joined Juventus, playing with Cristiano Ronaldo. As much as I love my club, Juventus is a bigger club. The expectation is different. For Arsenal, we'd like to win. Winning is the minimum for Juventus. Obviously, the league is one thing, like you've seen with Surrey being put to the sword and losing his job. The Champions League, the eternal quest. Whether they do it or not is another thing. But, Allegri was unable to do it. They've brought Ronaldo in, still been unable to do it. So that is the quest. And it's, at 29 to play with a club like that, with the depth and the expectation, obviously very good salary, way of life, obviously good experiences for him and his child and his wife. Ramsey has everything at Juventus he could potentially want. He's been linked with a move away. Now, obviously, it's a matter of time where he's linked with a move back to the Premier League. He's been linked with Chelsea and Man United and Liverpool when he was at Arsenal. You can imagine journalists being creative and inventing that one there, and obviously a return to Arsenal. Now his agent or his agency has come out and quashed these rumours. As you lot know, his agency are very vocal when it comes to Aaron Ramsey's contract, and they're not exactly telling the world, but they'll drop little things on Twitter. And yeah, you've obviously seen with Sarri. To be fair to Aaron Ramsey, he's played a big part role this season. He's won his Serie A title. I was about to say La Liga. He scored 4 goals in 35 appearances. He only started 11 times, and I'm not too sure how many times he played 90 minutes. So he's been a bit of a bit part player, and it is tough. You look at the amount of midfield options they have. They're bringing in Arthur. They've got Pjanic. Dybala can play further behind. You've got Matuidi. Emre Can didn't have the best of times. Rabiot was finding his feet towards the end of the season. Of sorts, Ramsey is a bit part player. And to be fair, when you look at it, you look at the age of their squad, Juventus have good depth, but there might be a need to inject some youth. They've got Bentancur, they're bringing in Arthur, which is a good signing. They might need to inject some youth in the midfield. And, Rabiot's found his feet, so he might stay, but he's obviously a candidate to leave the club, as is Aaron Ramsey. The problem and the benefit for Ramsey is, this isn't going to come to an end because, you look at the wages involved in a deal with Aaron Ramsey. We all know Ramsey's a good player, but will the teams in the Premier League take that chance? He probably had a lot of interest from a lot of clubs being a free agent, but why is it Juventus took the chance and nobody else? Were they put off by wage demands? If he does go out on loan, that's a different thing because you can be creative and supplement the loans and things. And obviously I wouldn't actually be against coming back to Arsenal on loan and things. I would have liked Ramsey to stay, but it's not the end of the world if Ramsey doesn't come back. On loan you pay some of his wages. I just see, I think we need goals from midfield, and I do think even Ramsey's year-on-year record with scoring goals might be inflated by people like myself when you think of Ramsey. He's, like I said, he's failed to hold down the starting role, but it's his first year, he's still adapting and things, and like I said, it's never going to be an easy fix, and you have to be prepared to be at some point going through this if you're going to join a team like Juventus. His agent's hit out, so it probably won't happen, but, expect Arsenal to be linked with him if they haven't already. In relation to Thiago Alcantara, one of the few names I can actually say, as you lot know, he's been linked with anything from a £30 million move to a 45. He's been linked with United and Liverpool primarily. I don't understand how Barca don't bring him back, in my opinion, or some other teams like Arsenal don't have a snowball's chance in getting him, and we've been linked with him, but I would love him. Apparently Liverpool, depending on what reports you read, are open to doing business, but they're not going to die over it. And some people are saying they're desperate. Some people going as far as to say he's desperate to work under Jurgen Klopp. And if Thiago stays fit, which is the only thing that's plagued his career, because we all know the ability is there. And Thiago's one of them weird players for me, is that he's a baller. He's won everything the game has to offer at club level. He's a baller. But he should, for me, I just feel because of his ability, he should be more of a household name generally in football. Like when he retires, people are going to remember him, but it's not going to be like Thiago. I think, man, I really think he's of that level that he should be. And I really like him, man. I think he'd be a bargain for Liverpool. He instantly improves that midfield. Again, playing for Bayern Munich, you know, I imagine he covers a fairly decent amount of ground. So the whole adapting to how Klopp wants to play isn't a thing for me. You know, he's got the one thing that none of them centre mids having, that with all due respect to Ronaldo, Fabinho, Henderson, because they've all played their part and they've all got qualities, but he's a better man on the ball. You know, Salah, Mane, all these men must be relishing seeing a man like that because they know he can find them with the passes. He helps them creativity-wise. He helps them dictate the tempo of the game. He instantly takes that midfield up another level and is undoubtedly a player that Liverpool need, and one that's almost a missing puzzle in the jigsaw in a sense. Like, I know he's not an out-and-out creative midfielder, but he's got the creative instinct in him, and he's got a year left, and it'll probably be one of the bargains of the season. Like, he's 29. Many people will say, oh, but you know, Liverpool, I won't say Liverpool are broke, but it seems that considering they've won the champs and the Prem and stuff like that, it does seem like the purse strings are a bit tight when, you know, they probably need a marquee player or so to shake things up. Arguably need a centre-half. Clearly they want a left-back because they brought one in. So maybe in terms of longevity and potential wages, the people above Klopp, I believe it's FSG, sorry, might say, you know what, F that. But at the same time, because of his wages and maybe his injury record, in which I get, you know, I think he'll stay fit. Just because I like Coutinho, so Thiago, so I'm thinking positive. No real logic behind that. But at the same time, yeah, the age thing. Now, the age thing is relevant. The age thing is really relevant in football, especially when you have models, especially when, you know, transfer value, transfer fees, they don't act, you're not really getting value for money, really, in terms of transfer fees, really and truly. Like, I love Pepe, and I'm not trying to hit Pepe with a stick, but is he worth 70 million right now? No, he's not. We've got 25 for Tierney, 6 for Martinelli, but we're still getting shagged. And other teams can point towards examples and bargains. What, 20 million for Danny Ings, Southampton? But typically, football, the fees are not matching the player's ability. Like Harry Maguire, I don't think he's a bad centre-half. I don't think he's made mistakes and been a bit of a comedy act, but I don't think he's been bad, terrible for United. But he's never going to justify the 80 million. Do you get it? I feel this is the way we're going. So people obviously looking for, this is why probably going for young players is more important, because at least people are looking at resale value or things like that. And people will look at it and say the finances involved, yeah, you might not pay the biggest of wage fees, but considering, the biggest of transfer fees, but considering Thiago's age and the fact that he's moving and he's got 1 year left and he's probably only got one big contract left in his career, you know, it does the financial outlay got match up sort of thing. And I'd say it does really, because again, they're all valued risks and stuff, but he's only 29. People will see that and go, in 2 years he's 31. Once you're 31, some people might as well say you're 35, like David Silva weren't playing for time. And again, it's not the same position, but Fernandinho arrived a year younger than Thiago at 28 at City, and he put in a good couple of years, to put it nicely, for City, starring in the midfield, doing the job, and obviously later on playing centre half. So again, Thiago is a different player than Fernandinho. I'm not saying he's going to play centre half, but it's not always an aged thing. And again, Liverpool, again, it's a different player. But James Milner, he's just signed a new deal. Now Liverpool might wind it down a bit, because next season, you know, you'd imagine that Milner might play the least games he's ever did. He'll still be an important player, but you know, they've got a left back, so if Robertson's not playing, it's not going to be Milner grabbing that. Again, I don't know what they're going to do on the right hand side. Midfield, you'd imagine Milner is going to get less game time, but in terms of age and finding a role for someone, and knowing that just because you're ticking on doesn't mean you're done, it is it. And I would say, you know, to be fair though, when you look at Liverpool, again, maybe I'm looking a bit too ahead. And again, it's not an immediate thing, but it is something that's going to have to be in the back of FSG's mind. When you look at the ages of a lot of their players are very much here for now. You've got the Curtis Joneses, you've got the Harvey Elliott's, you've got Brewster, you've got a couple of other young players around. I'm not saying they haven't got youth, but when you look at Mo Salah, and again, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, you know, I'm chatting crap, so I deserve all the banter you lot give me. But forgive me, Salah's like 28, so he's very much here for now. 28. How much is Mane? Maybe like, how old is Mane? Maybe like 27, 28. Firmino's probably a couple years younger than them. Well, yeah, they're all 28. So you've got 28. You'd be throwing in Thiago, that's 29. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I'm not saying it's a problem, but these are very much players that are here for today. Players that are here for the next 3 years or so. You're not players that are here for tomorrow. And when you consider this Liverpool team's been together for a while, you know, they were doing all right in the Europa. They got to a Champions League final. The next year after that, they won it. Now they've won the Prem after, you know, kind of bottling it the year before. To them, so that team's been together for 4 or 5 years, you know, and like I said, these players are all 28 and things. They're comfortable, they're playing well. Age isn't a thing, but I'm just saying, in the back of FSG's mind, they've got to be thinking of who's going to be our Mane of tomorrow, who's going to be our Salah of tomorrow, who's going to be Firmino of tomorrow, and that might be why they pass on Thiago, because if you throw Thiago into that, who's going to be our Thiago of tomorrow? People are very much here for now, sort of thing. So it's an interesting one, but I think I'm only focusing on Liverpool because he's been linked with them the strongest. I think he'll be a fantastic signing for Liverpool. But in relation to Thiago, we'll see what happens. I think that could be a bargain of the season just based on the ability. PSG have been linked with him as well. You know, Aaron Ramsey, I do think he'll stay at Juventus. Like you've heard, it's not a priority for Pirlo to get rid of him. So we'll have to see what happens. But the transfer window's heating up and all of these things are interesting. On that note, though, I'm going to keep it moving. It's always a pleasure. DG.